Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the regular meeting of the Tarrant County College Board. And please turn off your cell phones and put your seatbelts on because we're fixing to roll here. Yeah, it just here we go. There it is. There is the agenda, and I'm calling the meeting to order. I am back from my Baltic cruise, and I'm having a wonderful time here. Call to order. Okay, public comment. Okay, turn off your iPhones. Welcome again to our regular meeting on August the 16th, 2012. Do we have any public comments? No, we do not have any public comments. The first action item is to we have lots of minutes for our workshops, minutes of the meetings on May the 24th, June the 21st, and July the 5th, and August the 8th. Angela, I noted that there was a blank in one of them, and I can't remember which one it was, but we need to, do we have that? It's a name that helped Chuck Hicks.
It was the first minutes in your board packet, and the name that's missing is TASI Hines, Hines.
Okay.
Do you want the page number on the?
No, that's okay. So please make a note that that name will be inserted in those minutes. Do I have any comments on the minutes as written? And if not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for our meetings on and workshops on May the 24th, June the 21st, July the 5th, and August the 8th.
Move approval.
Okay, there's a move. There is a motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Now we have some items on the consent agenda. Consideration of investment broker. You can read it here. Are there any discussion on the consent agenda? Is there a inclination by anyone to take something off the consent agenda? I hear none. I'd like to entertain a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Move approval. Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The consent agenda is approved. Ms. Louise Appleman, you've got a big job today. You've got an audit committee, finance committee report on the Hotline ethics compliance policy and the procurement manual.
I do, and additionally, you have received in your packets, and I think, Shelley, do we have, oh, Shelley's not there. I knew Shelley, sorry. A letter from the Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson law firm, which is a 6-month report of their activities in recapping our delinquent tax collections. No action was taken on that. That's for information only and becomes a part of the permanent record. The committee did meet on August the 6th and did a final review. There's the letter. Anybody has any questions? A final review of the Hotline, Ethics and Compliance Hotline. You should have in your packet and have had for some days the final version, and we would hope that you would be prepared to approve it tonight. Waiting for them to catch up with us. Do you have that? The Ethics and Compliance Hotline policy. And Ms. McCurdy and Ms. Robinson, if you all want to help me out here, they were our staff on this.
The ethics policy.
Ethics. It says Hotline and Ethics Compliance. Let's see if I can. there are some policy changes that must accompany the adoption of this
That was it.
manual.
It's two policies. It's CDE, local, and then a
Yes.
new policy,
Go ahead.
Which
Yeah.
is entirely new.
right, which is entirely new. And both policies have been run by TASB, which is Texas Association of School Boards, and they didn't have any changes or suggestions.
And the second policy only had to do with the amending a policy that needed a name change in it, as I recall. So
That's correct.
That's not a big deal. Any
Any
observations?
questions or comments?
I think y'all
Do you
did a
want the
great job
motion?
on that. And I think what you need to do, I think, well, we can, yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve, I'd like to entertain a motion with respect to the Hotline ethics compliance
On behalf of
policies.
the Audit Finance Committee, I would move approval.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the policies, both of them. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Motion carries.
Also in your packet is the draft policy and procedures manual for procurement and purchasing. It's 138 pages long, and so don't hit the print button until you're ready. But you do have it online, and the committee has done an initial review, already made a few changes. We will review it again at our meeting on August the 16th. I got that date right. And if as you review this manual, you have any comments or suggestions or questions, if you would direct those to Mr. Herndon, who I think is in the room tonight and is prepared at our invitation to give us a brief review of the highlights of the manual at this time. And Mr. McClendon.
And while they're coming up, for the trustees, I would recommend reading the report from the committee, because it does go over in detail some changes that were made to the old policy and why policies were changed. So I recommend that to your reading if you have any other comments to the policy. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Madam Chancellor, Mr. Chairman, trustees. We decided to revise the Purchasing Policies Manual to develop a more comprehensive manual with sufficient detail to describe the procurement processes in a step-by-step manner, with possible interpretation to rules and regulations that govern public institutions. We also wanted to provide a clear glossary of terms, so those that are not readily always work in the procurement, and even for externals, will be able to understand exactly what we mean by those terms. We are still fine-tuning the document, but there will be your comments would certainly be encouraged and appreciated. On the September the 6th, we have a Audit and Finance Committee meeting. Mr. Herndon, the Director of Purchasing, is going to kind of give you some of the highlights of the major changes.
Thank you, Mr. McClendon and Ms. Appleman. Chancellor Hadley, President Greenhill, and members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to give you a very quick overview of the purchasing manual. As you've probably seen, as Ms. Appleman mentioned, it is a relatively large document, so I'm not going to go through it completely today, but I did want to touch on a few highlights that I'd like to bring to your attention. First, there are a few changes or additions, more properly, that we've added to this manual that was not in the old purchasing guidelines or handbook. One of the things that we added was a detailed list of procurement terms, along with the definitions of those terms, which you can find in section 1.7 of the manual. We also added a complete list of all laws governing procurement in the state of Texas, which can be found in section 1.7.82. We added a description of what could constitute ethics or code of ethics violations. Those can be found in sections 3.1 and section 3.2. We added the board approval requirement for purchases over $100,000, which was not in the previous manual because it's a relatively new process. It can be found in section 3.5.7. And we also added some guidelines for the development of specifications to help end users tell us what it is they need so that we can help them get it. So, and that is in section 3.8. Now, there are some specific changes that we're recommending or proposing to be considered. One of them is we're recommending increasing the current threshold for which we're allowed to purchase on written quotations without formal solicitation, but just written quotations. The current level threshold is currently from between $5,000 and $25,000. We're proposing to increase that to a threshold of between $5,000 and $50,000 to bring us in line with the current state allowance for purchases with quotations. We are also proposing to increase our threshold for formal solicitation, which falls in line with the previous one, from the current level of $25,000 to $50,000. Again, that brings us up in line with what the current state law allows us to do for that. And finally, we're proposing to establish a maximum allowable contract amount for a JOC contract at $500,000. Again, we, as Mr. McClendon mentioned, we realize there's still some fine-tuning to do on this document, and we do welcome your feedback through Ms. Appleman and the Audit and Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Herndon while he's up? Louise?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I misspoke. The audit committee meeting is September the 6th. What did I say? I didn't say that. Oh, thanks. Sorry. The remainder of our meeting involved an update by Ms. McCurdy, internal auditor, relative to her activities and her office's activities, and those are included in the minutes. Those are included in the minutes, which are in your packet, and I'd be happy to answer questions about that. So that the meeting on the 6th is right after the Labor Day holiday. So if you all could, if you have any questions or comments, if you'd get them in to us in writing sometime before the end of the week before, which I think is August 31st, it will be helpful to staff to be prepared to guide the committee through their discussion on the 6th. And then hopefully we'll bring you a complete and finished manual at our September board meeting.
Thank you, Louise. Any observations, comments? Okay. We don't need to accept the report, do we, or do we? We don't need, okay. That's acceptable. Our next items are approval of contracts, our next items, and this is Ms. Hadley and Nina and others.
Thank you, Mr. Greenhill and board members. We have quite a few items on the agenda this evening for your consideration. The first set of those are from Facilities and Maintenance, and that's headed by Mrs. Nina Petty. And I'm going to call on her now to go through the litany of, and this is a good litany because it's all good. It means that we are really moving forward on taking care of many of the projects that we had in our 2011-12 budget. Nina has members of her staff here ready to have her back, and the thing that time she stumbles, they'll be right there to answer any questions for you and for her. Nina?
Chancellor, good
And
evening.
before you get started, as I said before the meeting, I want to congratulate you and give you kudos, you and your staff, for the board memo summary information that's in front of each one of these contracts. It's valuable information, and it's just we really appreciate it. I read it, and it makes it a whole lot easier to go through these things. So I recommend it if you haven't already read them. Well, you got them lined up back there, don't you?
They all here. They all
I
here.
could
So I
not do
gave
this
him
alone.
some time to come up to the podium. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, President Greenhill. I appreciate that, Board of Trustees. And it's all trying to respond to some of your questions is we can improve that form, what we call the summary form behind the memo. Please let us know if we need to add something in it, if it's still not giving you enough information. We're trying to do that to try to streamline this process so that we don't have to spend so much time in the meeting. So I'll walk you through. We put the best first. I guess I should have saved the best for last. But the first one is a deductive change order that we're asking you to approve for $7.2 million, and it's a credit back on the Trinity River East Campus. And this will finalize all our work there, so this will allow us, if you approve this deductive change order and allow us to take this money back, it will allow us to close that project and do all the closing costs. And I think the summary goes into a little detail about what we did here in terms of getting this money back. It was really renegotiating this contract and then managing it over the last 2.5 years under the Chancellor's leadership to get us this money back. So, any questions?
Nina, I want to make a comment because Nancy Chang and Mark McClendon did not quite play with us the way we wanted them to play with us. As we were trying to close out this contract, it was actually the savings from that project, actually the construction piece that they did, was actually somewhere around $10 million. But there was some monies left over for some other things that you did way back when. It had nothing to do with actually building the building. It had to do with maybe the land or doing something or whatever. The budget that you finally approved as a not-to-exceed amount was just to complete the building. And so actually, Nina and her team came in with a little over $10 million, I believe, a little over $10 million of savings. I just wanted that in the record.
Great.
Because I think that is very important. Naturally, we had to pay for those other things someplace, and it came out of this, but the true savings that were realized on the construction part of that was in excess of $10 million. And we worked really long and hard to close this contract out. There were a lot of negotiations with the builder and Tarrant County College, and we finally were able to make it work. So Nina and team, I want to publicly thank all of you for the outstanding job that you did in getting that project closed out. It is absolutely one of the most spectacular facilities there is, I think, anywhere. And I think our students who study there are very appreciative of it. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Chancellor. I really appreciate the acknowledgement. I always say if you surround yourself by the best people out there, which I think that's what I've done with my team, I could not have done it alone. So we're glad to have that project closing out. So that's the first one. Any questions?
Any questions, observations?
I move for approval.
Okay, there's a move for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? It passes.
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The next item is on the firing range, and you have the memo in front of you requesting this contract with Lee Lewis Construction for the Northwest Campus. You've heard a lot about our firing range the last meetings, and so I don't know if you have any specific questions on this contract that we're awarding for this work. We're excited about getting this project underway because we have been talking about it for some time.
And I just, you could actually take those two together, board members, if you will, because
Yes, I
one
think
without
so.
the other is no
Right.
good.
So the next one, that's right. Thank you, Chancellor. The next one is another agreement that provides the equipment and installation for the firing range. And so these two contracts are very instrumental that you approve them together, so you should consider them together.
Any observations? Do I hear a motion to approve items 9 and 10 on the agenda?
So moved.
So moved. Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Motion carries.
Your next item is for our Southeast Campus for some road work, traffic signals, and it's for a job order contract agreement with Chambers Engineering, and this is a 100% MWBE contract, and it's for $959,628.45. And again, this is work that we've been gearing up for some time, and I know that campus is probably very eager to get this done.
I can imagine why. It's great. If you've been out there. Any questions, observations? I'd entertain a motion to approve item number 11 on the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. And any opposed? None? Motion carries. Item number 12.
This next item is another long-awaited work at the South Campus to do some renovations for faculty office buildings. And this is another job order contracting that's going to a 100% MWBE firm for $974,427.96. And I know Dr. Jordan is very happy about this.
Very happy. Any questions, observations?
Move approval.
Move approval, second?
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion, a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Nina?
Another important contract at the South Campus for flood mitigation for $276,809, another job order contracting agreement, and this is with the Strews Commercial, and it is 100% MWBE.
Any questions? Move approval. Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
These next contracts are now moving more into the infrastructure area, and if you ask questions, I'll have to bring up my teammate, David Holke, and you know what that means, so I'm just warning you on the front end. If you have technical questions, we might be here a while.
Oh, we got to think of something here.
And I kid about this a lot, but I have to tell you, I don't know what this district would have done without David Holke all these years. He is a wealth of information, and I'm so excited because we have a guest in the room that soon will be his counterpart, and I'll be announcing him next month, artist in the back, which I'll do the public announcement next month. He'll be joining us to team with Mr. Holke, so Mr. Holke will be able to focus on our sustainability, energy, and utility issues and share his role. And he has got a lot going on right now, taking some of these projects across the line, and of course you'll hear more about other infrastructure projects as we go into this new budget year. But this next one, the next two I think actually, this one is for the Northeast Campus for control systems, and it's a cooperative agreement, so this is different than the JOC we use. The cooperative agreements, and this is with Enviromatics. It's for $125,660, and this is MWBE participation 30%.
Any questions?
I'd like to know what a phone bollard is.
Well, I was
Okay.
going to ask that question, but I'm glad you asked it.
Mr. Holke? Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I was having so much fun. Okay. I did skip 14. Sorry about that. Okay, this is an interlocal agreement with Fort Worth Electrical LP to provide equipment and installation. These are really the Code Blue phones area for the South Campus. Important $105,400 contract and 100% MWBE participation. This,
What is a blue bollard?
yes, I do.
Okay.
Several years back, there was a need
David,
to
what's a blue
recognize.
bowler?
Sure.
Tell us what a blue
Tell it like it is.
I'll keep it
Several
short.
years ago,
There was a request for emergency telephones across the district, both in the buildings and exterior. And these bollards are these phones. The brand happens to be Code Blue. After a selection process, we decided this was the right model for our campuses. The thing that's different is they're branded for the district. They're white, have their police in them. We use them only for emergency to keep from overwhelming the police dispatch center. And these actually have a feed of fiber and power through across the campus to power them up. And they have room for other electronics for the future as the police need them.
thank you.
So
But
Uh-oh.
what is a bollard?
a bollard is essentially a pole, a metal type, and these are about 10 feet tall, and inside it is a foam.
Okay.
It's just a column of steel.
Okay.
Quarter-inch steel is what it is.
Thank you.
Okay, great
It's a
question.
phone booth.
Without the booth.
Mr. Heed, he throws those words in there just to see if y'all are paying attention, and I think that's great. I didn't know what it was. So there you go. We learn something new every day,
All
don't
right.
we?
Are there any other observations on that? Did I hear a motion on, which number are we on, 14? 14,
I move for approval.
okay. Second, there's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Number 15.
Okay, our next one is for the Northeast Campus Student Center Control Systems to Reliable Building Automation Control. It is a cooperative agreement for $125,660. This upgrades our system, and do you have any questions?
I move for approval.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
The next one is also for Northeast Campus Health Science Building for control systems with reliable automation control system for $135,332. and it's another by-board cooperative.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
So moved. There was a tie there, so.
Second.
Second, okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Another Northeast upgrade to provide equipment and installation for the control systems at the faculty office buildings at Northeast for $113,012.
Any questions? Motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
The next one is for two campuses, Northeast and South campuses. This is for electrical monitoring equipment, which makes us more energy efficient. And these are Texas Multiple Award Schedule cooperative agreements for $619,843. And this really, I think I mentioned to you, if we could spend $1 on something, it would be on these kind of things because it really makes us much more energy efficient.
Okay. Any questions, observations?
It just seems like this efficiency is very expensive. Do we calculate the payback on
Yeah,
these? And it would be,
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit later in our presentation, I think, if the Chancellor asked us to visit with you about some of the programs we're going to be doing. One thing that the Chancellor and I have talked about is coming to you and really giving you an updated, lengthier version on what we're doing. I'm really excited on some of the programs that David is working on for the district, and you're going to be reading about it in projection next month. So we'll provide you that information because it does seem like, oh, we're spending a lot of money, but candidly, we've been deferring this work for a long time, Mr. Carter. So it's sort of.
I guess the issue then, you're saying that it's definitely going to pay for itself.
Oh,
and-
absolutely.
Okay.
And if you want me to get David Hulke up here to explain that to you,
I
now, I'd
believe
be
you.
more
I
than
just,
happy to. Or we could just wait and do it in the presentation later.
and I probably should have asked the question a few $1 million ago.
Yeah. But we will, and we're.
It's in the budget, though, Mr.
Yeah, it
yes,
is
and
in
I'm
the
told
budget.
it's in the budget.
And it's part of what you approved last year. There was about $20 million in the infrastructure area that you, as a board, approved last year. And we're furiously working, as you're seeing some of these contracts. It's taken a long time this whole year for David, candidly, to get the team together and get. So you're seeing a lot of these infrastructure ones come through these last months. But it's money that you did earmark, about $20 million. We're going to continue to have that kind of work going forward. And we do feel it's important to really give you kind of an updated energy program at one of our board meetings about all the exciting things you're doing. And we're going to tease you again with the Projection magazine next month. You'll get to read about some of these. But there are cost savings. There's paybacks that will impress you in terms of how quickly they'll pay back. But we've not done any of these energy things around the district at some of the older campuses. So these are important. So
Where do we stand related to that $20 million?
we're clipping away pretty much on all, everything. Where there was about $10 million of our Fund 70 that we gave back to the district in savings on projects like the Trek project or NBSS. We had some savings dollars, or we had one other campus that we had savings at Southeast. And then, for the most part, we've spent it all, or it's encumbered to be spent over the next couple of months, and then we'll be requesting new monies to be added to the infrastructure. So we'll be continuing. It'll probably be in about the same range, another $20 million around for infrastructure.
Okay.
So
Ms.
approval.
Petty, tell the board what you explained to me today, because I asked her, I said, some of these memos say this is a budgeted item, and some of them don't. And she told me something I'd never really noticed before.
Yeah,
And it's a
in the lower
code.
left-hand corner, you'll see some tracking numbers. MEP, again, is a mechanical, electrical, plumbing project. So if you see in the lower left-hand corner, MEP, for the most part, that's been led out of David Hulke's area. And then you might see CIP, which is Capital Improvement Project, which is really Kirby Chadwell's area, and he's leading that. And then if you see the number next to it, that connects to a tracking system that is to a line item. So everything that you're approving tonight is approved in the board budget that you've approved. We do have contingency dollars in the in the budget that we use for some projects. So you might see contingency, you might see furniture down in that lower area, but, and we probably should be more consistent, Ms. Appleman, in putting that in there on every, because every one that we're asking for approval, you've approved it in the larger budget. And they're all attribute to a line item. They may not be an individual. For instance, energy conservation is a huge line item that we have that rolls up, 25 projects that maybe David Hulke's working on. Some of them are individual line items that all that's in there is the energy technology building, and it might be a line item for a budget. And we can get more detailed about that in that summary sheet if you'd like.
I just noted an inconsistency in some of the narrative, and that concerned me that we were voting off budget. And after 24 years, it's nice to know there's a tracking system in the code.
Absolutely there is.
Thank you.
And we'll be more consistent about that in the future.
Okay, which item?
You're on
You just explained.
18, on the 619,
Okay,
843.
16. Do I hear a motion on item 18?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
What's the item number?
18?
Is that correct? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Okay, 18. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Now we're on number 19.
19. This is for furniture at the Northeast Campus Science West Building for $117,876.32, and it does come out of our furniture line item. And this is with BKM, cooperative agreement with them that we do.
Any discussion? Is there a motion?
So I move we approve.
Okay, second? Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? None? Motion carried.
Item number 20 is approval of the cooperative purchasing agreement with Contracts Furnishing to purchase new furniture for the Northwest Library for $148,831.20. And this does come out of the furniture line item budget.
Any discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There was a tie. Do we have
Give
a
it to
winner?
Mr.
Okay,
Carter.
all right. Okay, Carter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Item number 21 is for cooperative agreement with Texas Air Systems to provide equipment and installation, air handlers, and other energy conservation at the Northwest Campus for the Technical Service Building for $193,281.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
I move for approval.
There's been a motion, and there's a second by? Second. Second by, okay, Carter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Motion carries.
Only three more for me. The next is for our Southeast Campus.
Could you give the agenda number, please?
I'm sorry, item number 22.
Thank you.
And this is an interlocal purchasing agreement, cooperative agreement with Texas Air Systems to provide equipment and installation of boilers and venting for the Southeast Campus for $157,036.
Any discussion on item 22? There's been a
Second.
motion, been a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item number 23.
Item number 23 is a job order contracting agreement with Imperial Construction, and it is for renovations here in our very own Mayoan Center. It's for $489,170, and this is a not-to-exceed contract, so I suspect when we come back and report to you, it's going to be less, much less than this amount, but because of timing, what we do is we work with the contractor to get a not-to-exceed number that we're comfortable with, and then we manage from that down. So I do not suspect that this contract will be that much. And it's 4 pieces, I think, as we said in here, it's 4 pieces of work, very distinct pieces of work that we're coordinating with.
Yeah, can you give me a short version of what we're doing here?
Yes, I can, but I'm going to ask.
We have 2 items, actually 23 and 24.
Yes, you do. And Mr. Chadwell he's leading this project and knows the ins and outs of it.
Basically, most of this work is at the first floor of the MOC, It's for 3 of our major departments, and it's continuing work. As you recall, you approved earlier this year the Trinity River East Fork renovation. We moved some people out of the Water Gardens lease space into Trinity River East Fork. This is continuing work with that direction, getting more people out of Water Gardens, and then some of the space has been vacated downstairs, reconfiguring that for these new departments.
This says it's in the May Owens Center. Is
Correct.
it there, or is it in the?
It's on the most of it's on the first floor here, a little bit on the second floor.
Okay.
Most of it's on the first floor, accommodating people coming from Water Gardens and then reconfiguring of staff moving around. And then the furniture behind that goes with that, so they're.
I think it would be easier to understand, Mr. Carter, if I tell you that we've been doing a little bit of fruit basket turnover here. We've moved people from Water Gardens to Trinity River Campus. We've moved people from MOC to Trinity River Campus. And as people move out of this facility to the Trinity River Campus, we moved other people in. Some came from MOC, some are new staff, and you have to reconfigure the space for the department. So that's really what's happening here in this
And
building.
some of this has been phased, that we couldn't do this work until the people that have gone to the Trinity River East Fork have vacated the space downstairs, and we're picking people downstairs. We have one more phase of this work that's much smaller that will be coming to you in September on. That's the last department to move.
As I remember, we saved a substantial amount of money from vacating
On the
the
lease.
Water Garden, and so the payback was like 2 years. Is this part of that, or is this
Correct.
something in addition to
Yeah,
what?
yeah, this is all coming out of getting out of the lease space at Water Gardens. That by the end of this calendar year, we'll be out of the Water Gardens.
Sounds as it's very expensive to save money on lease space. In fact, it doesn't sound like we're going to. Not for a very long time.
Is the foundation moving as well?
They are staying in Water
They're
Gardens.
staying.
They're the only group staying. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions on 23? If not, I'll entertain a motion for item number 23.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Was that an explanation of number 24 as well?
24 is in, they're sort of connected.
Sort of
So you don't want to
connected.
approve
So
23 and not
if
approve
you've got
24,
your
or they'll be sitting in beanbag chairs. So this is for the furniture that the individuals will go
For
in.
the spaces.
Absolutely. And it's for $236,753.15, and it is Texas Municipal Award Schedule Cooperative Agreement with Wilson Office
Okay.
Interiors.
Dr. Morrison has moved approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Nina.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for your hard work.
Mr. President, board members, I do want to tell you that much of the renovations that we're doing doesn't have to do just with moving people out of the Water Garden. It also has to do with finding spaces for new staff members. So that's a part of it is built into that.
Ms. Hadley?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The next 4 items on the agenda, I believe, no, the next 3, are in Mr. Tim Marshall's area. He has a few purchases here. Tim?
Good evening, Chancellor, Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to put forth for consideration. The first item is a technology purchase with M&S Technologies for Land Cope Stealth watch equipment. This is another layer of security equipment for our network. If you've heard of viruses and hackers, a lot of times the activity doesn't come in on a virus. It actually comes in based on a pattern of activity. So there's no virus. It's just somebody that might be stealing CPU cycles or hard drive space. And this equipment will allow us to monitor somebody using our network for nefarious means, which has occurred in the past. So.
How do you determine which software is the best?
There are a number of government agencies that focus on securing your environment. And there's a CERT is one of them. And they pretty much say this is the type of equipment you should be looking for. They won't stand behind any one vendor because they're not in the business of endorsing a private enterprise. But in this space, because we use Cisco equipment, there's a limited number of hardware devices that will plug into Cisco. So we define what we need within that area, and then we go out to bid within that small vendor space. This is very, you buy one or two pieces of equipment for your entire enterprise. It's very specialized equipment. I don't know how, it's not like you could go into a Best Buy and find this kind of equipment. It's made specifically for large enterprises. And we've bought off of a request for quote process that you open it up, but you're going to have 3 vendors compete. But we don't block anybody from competing, but you know who's going to come in the door.
Okay. Any other questions,
No,
observations?
he's the first person I've heard use the word nefarious this year, though. Congratulations.
Good.
It sounded great. I move we
Is that
approve it.
removal? Okay, that's a motion. A nefarious motion.
Second.
A second. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? Item number 26.
Item number 26 is for a document imaging service and software. Currently, the district uses a combination of a homegrown system and another vendor. They came about through 2 different sets of requirements. Over time, the need for converting paper documents to digital images has a lot of use and utilization. More and more of our systems can use those images to tie together with other information that we do collect electronically. We went out to bid to look for an enterprise-wide solution, knowing that the 2 current ones that we had might not solve our problem. The current vendor did bid on it, and we've selected another vendor that more aptly fits the need for the district. We'll be going from about 80 different users through different campus departments to about 250 users. This has a very high need in the student services arena, where we're starting to gather information that the student brings with them, not in electronic format. A lot of them will bring individual education plans from the K through 12 district, counseling information that they get from other local agencies that they only have in hard copy format, and this will allow us to make those records part of our files.
How long do we archive?
I wish I had my David Holtke here. His name is Nigel Parker. There are a number of state of Texas records classifications, and based on the type of information, it expires and you destroy information on an ongoing basis. The nice thing about the solution that we picked is we can build those rules into the digital store, so we don't have to buy more and more disk space. Once the rules are part of the system, it will automatically start rolling off records as we no longer need them.
And what happens to the hard copies?
The hard copies, the same thing. When you digitally store and forward, you can destroy as long as you're doing it within the Texas standards, and that was one of the requirements of the RFP. So once we acquire the image and archive it, it's got to be alive in 2 different places. We can destroy the hard copy.
Any other questions, observations? Do I hear a motion on item number 26?
I move for approval.
Okay. Is approval? Is there a second? You seconded? Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Item number 27.
Item number 27 is directly related to one of the Vision 2015 goals and strategies. This is to provide a tutoring solution at a distance. So for students that are in our online classes, and even for students that can't make it to campus for times other than just maybe classes, we are now providing them with an ability to engage a tutor either through an online interface or over the phone. And this will provide the initial first year estimate of 30,000 hours, which breaks down to about 10 hours a student for 30,000 students. Based on our population, the vendors helped us determine that's pretty much what we can expect. But we can expand or decrease. It's kind of like buying minutes from AT&T. You can build or decrease your bank over time, and you only pay for the hours that you use.
students have to pay for this service?
No, this is us providing that service to the student.
And what type of services? Math? I mean, what?
I can provide you with the list of courses. It's pretty much everything that's in our core math, from our basic developmental math all the way through calculus. It also allows the student to drop off an essay paper and have that essay edited or critiqued before they turn it into their faculty member. So it's a very robust service with regards to what you can provide at a distance.
And this is one of the best practices. types
Mrs.
of
Burnett,
applica-
Ms. Tenure, Michael.
Yep.
Is this one of the best applications that we have found to provide this type of service? I mean, is
Yeah,
it?
this is the market leader. Out of 3,500 colleges and universities, they market their product to over 1,000. And some colleges and universities don't even use the product. So in the online tutoring field, this is the Microsoft or the Apple. This is the group you go to.
How does the online tutoring work? I mean, is it a connected real time?
Yes, you can. The way the students can approach the tutoring, they can either set up a scheduled appointment where they can either talk to a tutor on the phone, or do it via text messaging, or do it via email, or do it via what they call an online session, where they both are in an environment where they have one-on-one communications. The students can also do it on demand. And, it's a little bit. You might have to wait 10 or 15 minutes before you get a tutor, because if it's in the middle of a semester near midterms and everybody in the country is looking to get that math answer, they might have to wait 10 to 15 minutes, but we've been guaranteed a response time of under 15 minutes for those that want immediate help. So we get nice little bump backs if they can't meet those statement of work guidelines and performance metrics.
I trust this is not available during an exam?
No, it is. I mean, it's a tutor.
During an exam?
Well, it's, the student, if they're taking an exam, they're in a classroom, it's going to be hard to hide the fact that they're engaged in a tutoring session, if the faculty member is watching them. So the tutoring service doesn't know the schedule of the student.
And just one more question. Anytime we utilize one of these programs, do we go back at a later time and evaluate how well this program is helping our students? I mean, is that part of the process?
That's a very good question. That's part of what Dr. Day's institutional research is being set up to do. The nice thing about the service provider is they provide us weekly and monthly with reports on which students logged in. They have to basically be passed through our authentication system, so they have to log into a TCC website before they can go and make a scheduled appointment. So we can then track by student their success, if the tutoring helped or if it didn't. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion for the approval of item number 27. So moved. Second. There's a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Mr. Greenhill and board members, I might add that the faculty, especially those who teach online, are really excited about this additional opportunity for their students, and we're expecting that it will increase our student success rates. It is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week available.
Wow.
Is there a limit? Is there a limit per student, or?
We talked about that. What did you finally decide, Tim? The group, the committee?
There is, we've asked the provider to let us know when a student uses more than 10 hours, because it might speak to a different approach for intervention. We've asked them to help us determine what that number is. But there is no, I mean, if a student wants to use, if they get in line and they use all 30,000 hours and they've bumped everybody else off, we didn't want that to happen. But that's the good thing about having the reports on a regular basis. We can find that if somebody's really in there and they're not getting what they need from the online tutor, we can approach them with a different intervention.
Thank you, Tim. Madam Chancellor?
Mr. Greenhill and board members, the next item is the 2012-13 budget, and I'll go to the podium.
Oh, we have the
very
lease.
briefly.
We have number 28.
I'm getting ahead of the game.
Yeah, you would.
Mark McClendon.
Mark
By
McClendon.
all means, this is a very important item on our agenda, but won't leave it off.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. This is the lease at the Alliance Airport. It's a lease that expires on 2013, but we've decided to extend this lease to September 30, 2016. It gives us the ability to have this space, and we have the need, and it also is, we have it at the same price. Is there any questions on this item?
Yes, I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just kind of remind me why we're leasing this property and what is the intent?
Thank you for that question. I'm going to bring Mr. Troy on to give you that answer. Yes, ma'am. He's the one who actually takes the benefit, and he will do a most excellent job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Evening, Mr. Greenhill, Board, Chancellor. At Alliance, we actually operate a corporate training center. And so the facility that we house, this particular facility, we actually do training with the companies there. It's over 250 companies now at Alliance. So we do a number of training with them. Also, as new companies come in, for instance, right now, GE, as they've come into the area, they're actually conducting orientations, doing interviews. Dynacor has been in there all month with computer training. So that's a facility where we have a main auditorium that seats about 100 or so. We have many forums with the Northwest Campus with the aerospace needs up there. So, and then we have 2 classrooms, and so two classrooms plus 2 computer labs, and so those are available to conduct training for those companies at Alliance.
And so this is strictly for companies that we're providing training for?
Yes, ma'am.
Are these opportunities ever available for any of our students, or is that just not part
Well,
of it?
actually, yes, ma'am. There are. We're actually at Northwest Campus offers a program where they're training students in human resource management certificate program that goes on there. We actually have had some credit courses in there, but not for a long time. But yes, to answer your question, the brief answer is yes. We also have students that go through there and do training there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions or observations on this one? Do I hear a motion?
I have a question.
Okay, sure.
I don't know if this is a legitimate question in this instance, but we've heard figures for how much it costs to train a nursing student and the multiplier effect, what economic benefit is derived from that. Is there any kind of figure, or can there be a figure for what we do at Alliance?
Yes, we do like a roll-up at the end of the year where I can get that to you and provide that back. I don't have it right here with me. But I can tell you that typically, as I mentioned, we have a number of companies that we do training with, and we can provide that back to you to give you an idea of what's being taken in. Plus, we do lease space to companies to do certain training.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve item number 28.
I move for approval.
Is there a second? Second. There's a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. I lost the Chancellor. Oh, there she is.
She'd be hard to lose.
This is good. This is good.
Madam Chancellor, before you get started, I thought I would summarize for the board and for the audience and for the people who are listening of what our plan is in regard to the adoption of our budget. Tonight is the final. It's not the final meeting, but we're going to try at this meeting to get our budget in what I'd call substantially final form for consideration at our next meeting on August 22nd. In the meantime, after this meeting, the staff has got an agenda here of what we're going to be doing for public comment on our budget. We will post the proposed budget that we consider tonight on the TCC website on Friday, August the 17th, which is tomorrow. The homepage posting will provide a link to the 2012-2013 proposed budget. The public will be invited to submit comments to the Office of Communications and External Affairs here or via email at Reginald Gates' office. And I would suppose that this information will be posted as well so that you can get on to it. The posting will also include an invitation for the public to offer comments at the August 22-12 meeting, which is our special meeting to consider the budget. The posting will also state that the board intends to vote on the proposed budget at the August 22 meeting. So we're not tonight voting on it, but we're trying to get it in substantially final form. The Office of Communications and External Affairs will provide all comments received and present them to the board at the August 22 meeting. And that's our plan. So, public, if you have some comments on this proposed budget, let us know. Okay, Madam Chancellor.
Thank you, Mr. Greenhill and board members. I am pleased to present to you the proposed budget for 2012-13. We have been fortunate enough to have each one of you spend quite a bit of time with us over the past few months from the beginning of the building of this budget, and I think you're all pretty familiar with what's here. I do want to briefly go through it one more time tonight, not in as much detail as I have in the past, but please feel free to stop me at any point when you feel like you have a question or you want to make a comment or give me advice. Okay. We have the proposed budget, the recommendations, and then the questions and discussion. I want to say once again how much I appreciate the help of all these people who are sitting here in front of me and to my left as well. Whereas the JCC on the next row there, who have worked very, very hard. We've all worked together on coming to a conclusion of what we were going to present to you. So this is the budget. You know, I love the pretty pictures, so Shelley always finds I can't do very much without pretty pictures. And this budget is all about student success because so many tomorrows start right here at Tarrant County College. The summary of our proposed budget, the maintenance and operations revenue, you can see there that we're expecting our state appropriation to be about flat. It may end up to be a little bit less than that. We're not sure. Interestingly, we're going through a pretty interesting thing here with the state funding right now. Those of you trustees who went to the meeting in Austin recently heard about this, about there's likely will be some cuts in the proposed, in the funding from the Higher Education Coordinating Board. And one of the problems that we have with cuts, some of the smaller institutions in the state are in pretty dire shape. And a proposal was sent to us from the Legislative Budget Board. All 50 community colleges asked us to take a look at how we might, all of us might help with the shortfall. And so all the institutions agreed that it would be a good idea for all of us to help. And so they came back and said, if you do that, some of you would get a little bit less money than what you would normally get. When you look at the basic state appropriation, that's one amount, and then the state has always built in a little extra for growth. So if you have any growth at all, you're likely to get a little bit more money. And most of us, of course, had growth, some more than others. And we all agreed that we would accept 3% less in our new growth money than we would get otherwise. The governor's office said that is a wonderful way to deal with this problem. However, it would take all 50 of you to agree to do that. When we convened for the TACC, the Texas Association of Community Colleges Summer Conference, we spent probably 2 hours in our discussion about this and what it would mean. The coordinating board had given us numbers about, with the approximate dollars that each college would get, and we all agreed that day that that would be by far the best way to go. Today, just before I came in here this evening, I got an email from the Texas Association of Community Colleges to all of us telling us that 2 institutions had decided it did not want to do that, and that the governor's office said without all 50 of our agreeing, there would be no deal. I don't know what's going to happen. Something has to happen by tomorrow afternoon. And the interesting thing is the 2 colleges that have not agreed to do it are pretty small colleges who at some point, they may not have any issue today, but they probably will later. So we don't know exactly what the issue is with those 2 institutions. So I'll keep you posted on that. And nevertheless, we have always budgeted quite conservatively. And so our budgeting officer, Nancy Chang, decided that we should not budget any increase from the state, even though we may get a little money more than what's up there. We may not. And we may get it, as we have in the past, and then later the state will say, give it back. And we've had to do that as well in the past. So we left that flat. And of course, our maintenance tax operation, as you can see, tax is going up. Our credit hour tuition remains the same in this budget, and I'll talk more about that a little bit later. Our non-credit hour tuition, we are decreasing by $250,000 because that budget line item has not materialized the way we had hoped it would in recent years. And of course, the non-credit, non-funded tuition, we're reducing by $150,000. Indirect costs and other things, we're increasing by $100,000. Interest income by a mere $100,000. And the designated reserve, we are taking out $2 million of what we used last year. We used $7 million from our designated reserve to balance the budget, even though we didn't spend it. And we are reducing that amount by $2 million this year. So we have a total educational and general income increase of $12.9 million. Take away the operation tax, the capital improvement plan, $10.6 million, and we have $2.3 million at the bottom line. The next page is the budget summary of the various categories, the large categories. And as you know, we have a lot of detail behind each one of these. But in maintenance and operations, we're increasing by $12.9 million. All of that goes for those things that you heard Ms. Petty talk about a few minutes ago. There are so many, many things that need to be done. Mr. Heed, you asked a question about the $20 million. And Ms. Petty said it'll be about another $20 million spent, and that'll probably be for a long time. We'll be spending $20 million. Because again, when you're dealing with campuses as old as ours are, with the exception of Trinity River East, and our Southeast campuses, they're quite old, and so you have a lot of things that have to be renewed from time to time. The auxiliary fund is being decreased by $140,000. The renewal and replacement budget being decreased by $796,000. But you'll see overall we're still spending over $78 million in that category. The building fund, of course, you just heard the report tonight. We've closed out the last large project that was underway, the Trinity River East Campus. And so we budgeted $11.6 million last year for that, and we don't need that amount anymore. Debt service is decreasing by $222,000. So our total budget increase for 2012-13 is $95,519. We went over the major campus projects with you last time from our various campuses, and you see a slide there showing what those major projects are. Trinity River campus is down for a new parking lot. The Trinity River campus is the only campus right now that has shown a steady percentage increase in students since day one. They started off with the first day of registration with a very large increase. And the last time I looked, I had them laughing the other day. I said I looked 10 or 15 times every day at the enrollment to see where it is. And of course, it's always, I go to bed at night with a really good feeling because it's always up at night. But by the time I get up the next morning, people who have not paid get dropped from the system. That's called deregistration. And so I wake up the next morning and look see what the number is, and it's always these higher. So we're trending for this registration period downward slightly. Looks like by the end of the day, we may be down overall somewhere around 3.5% to 4%. Is the way it's looking right now. Unless something happens magically, I think in the next 5 days. Is that what we have left for registration? 5 days left. 4 now? Is it 4 days? Okay. By the way, we have a countdown clock on the website. If you haven't seen that, it gives you the number of days left, including the minutes and the hours. So students will know that they must get in there. This next slide gives you, again, some of the things that have come out of our facilities and academic master plan projects. You know, we're really excited about that master plan. And you've heard us talk about the innovation forums, where we will have the urgency model will come out of that. The math emporium that we're putting on each of our campuses. The experiential learning spaces. We have our first prototype complete on the Northeast campus. It says by 2012. This is still 2012, and I think it's already done. Is that right, Larry? It is finished. All campuses will have a prototype classroom by 2013. And, of course, the training faculty in new teaching modalities and experience new products and collect field data for both faculty and IT. Now, the next slide calls for the 5 campus presidents. I have asked them to come forward and go over briefly with you some other things that you did not see last time. Though what you saw last time were the larger projects, but I talked a few minutes ago about all of the infrastructure needs that we have on each of the campuses. Ms. Petty and her team worked very closely with each campus president when they were putting the budget together. And they, of course, the presidents work very closely with their staff to make sure that they have everybody's needs on paper, and then they prioritize them, and eventually we get down to the district level and look at all of them and come up with what all of us collectively think will be the best. So Dr. Jordan is first on the list, and if you would come up and do your piece.
Thank you, Chancellor Hadley, Mr. Greenhill, members of the board. I want to share with you some of the other projects that we have been talking about and are proposing for the South Campus at this point. And they include some miscellaneous and cosmetic renovations to our math building, the recital hall, our music building, and our art building. And these miscellaneous and cosmetic projects include the replacement of sinks. It includes increasing the insulation between music classrooms. It also includes replacement of flooring and carpeting as well. And in the library, we are looking at external lighting and improving external lighting around the library to increase energy efficiency and to create brighter lighting around the library. In addition, we're talking about increasing the number of classrooms, computer classrooms, to accommodate the use of computers in classes so that faculty and students can access the internet. And we are also talking about bringing our first Mac lab to the campus to support students and offerings in the arts, as well as offerings in continuing education as well. And we are looking at a project that will continue to improve the flood proofing around our learning center. This is the campus building that is below grade that we've had some flooding problems with. You just heard earlier about some of the drainage and approved some of the drainage correction methods that were proposed. And we are looking at continuing to improve or decrease the flooding situation around that building. I will say to you in a brief story, this afternoon I had, and this story demonstrates, I think, the fact that our students, too, are taking notice of the improvements, cosmetic and otherwise, that are happening on campus. In an effort to create more sticky spaces around the campus, we just installed some patio furniture around the library. And this afternoon, there were 4 students sitting on that furniture. I walked up to them and asked them how they were enjoying the furniture. And 2 students started to comment on not just that improvement, but other improvements around the campus. They talked about carpeting in the rotunda and the painting that they've seen going on the campus. And so I was feeling really quite proud of the work that our facilities folks and others have done in this regard, until the 3rd student said to me, so Mr. President, when are you going to do something about the lines and congestion around financial aid? And so there is still work to be done, and I appreciate your continued support of that work. Thank you.
Mr. Greenhill, board members, Chancellor Hadley. We have a kiln area in our art right close to our building, but it's, of course, detached from the building. It's on a slab, but we have periodically nefarious weather activity that creates havoc with our kiln, and we have to continue to rebuild the thing. But what we want to do is put a partial roof over that, and that will allow students to utilize the kiln during those inclement weather days. We also have some remodeling activity that we want to do in our math testing lab. Right now, it can be distracting for students as they're testing because other students are walking in, so we want to build an additional wall and move a counter, and that will help us in that area. The men's locker room in physical education needs some more storage, and so we're going to add a storage area for that. In our physical sciences, one of our physical sciences classroom, it's a tiered classroom, and it was built 44 years ago, I guess. And the way the seats were arranged in there or built is that it's attached to the tables, and some of those seats are breaking, and you can no longer replace them, so we're going to have to tear all that out and put in regular seats and tables in that. So that will help mitigate some of the circumstances happening in that classroom. And then, of course, we have the health sciences have vacated some parts of our building in the health sciences building, and we're in the process of renovating some of those to laboratories and others into classrooms. Thank you.
This is a hint. Oh. It's a test. Good evening, board members and Mrs. Hadley. My colleagues have commented on the changes on their campus, and I have to say that the Northwest campus is the most beautiful it has ever been, and it's thanks to Nina Petty's good people and the efforts of everyone in the district supporting us. We are very focused on student learning outcomes, and so we're not only learning about what faculty and student support services do for our students, but also how the learning spaces impact learning. And so with that in mind, we looked at the communication lab, which is used by students that are learning foreign languages, ESOL, and also some of our speech students. And we would like to have the space renovated so students can videotape themselves, critique themselves, and critique each other. And that's what the communication lab renovation would do for us. Our library is becoming a hub of activity, and you approved new furniture for us. We have some 1976 retro furniture that we would welcome giving away if you'd like. But in addition to the nice furniture, we do need some renovations on the carpet and the space around where the students come in and out. And then finally, our student center needs additional restrooms, and that's what our request is for this evening. So thank you for your support.
What plans do you have for the vineyard?
The vineyard, is beautiful. Have you seen it? That's part of what's beautifying the campus.
I understand. Yeah.
But we keep adding to the vineyard, and
production someday?
We hope to have significant production. We'll invite everyone over.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Greenhill, members of the board, Ms. Hadley, thank you for an opportunity always to talk about the Southeast campus, which I consider probably the prettiest campus, but that's my opinion on it. It's like this. With the extended growth on the campus, and we tend to move walls, and so we have some renovations that we want to do. Our disability services area has to grow because of our growth in our population. Our bistro area, we want to do some renovations down there to give a little more space for our students to have lunch and also to gather. It's a great gathering space for our students. I'm excited to go down there. Many of the students are doing their video games but also studying at the same time. We also want to try to, in our new building, the ESCT building, we have a wonderful area that already has a kitchen in it to make into another extension of our cafeteria or our bistro in order to bring some coffee and foods into that building, so we've added that into our budget. In our testing center, we don't have right now any private areas for ADA students in order to do their testing. So that's something that we're trying to add into that building so students have a place to, so we don't have to find an office for them to do their testing in, students with disabilities. Cosmetic renovations, it's Nina's and her crew do great things with a lot of paint and carpet, and we just wanted, there's some areas that are 16 years old now that are ready that needs paint and carpet, so we're going to be doing that, hopefully. And of course, outdoor lounge area and renovations. Patio furniture would be a plus. We don't have, the students are all inside, in our one building, and when the weather gets nice, when it's not 103 degrees, they like to go outside, and right now we don't have much shaded area. So we're trying to get the students to congregate and to stay on campus more. I was going to use the word nefarious, but I didn't know where. And of course, Larry always beats me. But thank you for your time, and I appreciate your considerations. Hold on, I got to get through here.
Thank you, Chancellor Hadley, Mr. Greenhill, and members of the board. We have 3 important changes that we think will improve the situation for our faculty and staff and the community visitors that we have. If you think about the way faculty offices are usually designed, they are closed hard walls, they have doors, and they go into a hallway. Now think about our campus where we have cubicles that are just in one corner of an open space. And so we have students who come looking for faculty or looking for the study areas that are around the cubicles, and they walk in and the faculty are sometimes there and they're sometimes not. And so Nina and her team have come up with a great plan just to add a wall and a door with viewing so that students can see that that is an office, even though it's a series of offices. And we think that that will increase the efficiency for our faculty and still retain the beauty of having them in cubicles, because they do like that. We are going to use some of the money that you will approve for us to remodel our art gallery. It was a space that was never designed to be an art gallery, and so the walls are not adequate for all of the changes that have to go on. And so we will put a new wall in there and some different kind of lighting. Our students are doing such wonderful work, and we want the museum quality for their work. And then finally, this renovation of a ventilation system is simply a safety issue. When the chemistry storage area was built in TRTR, there was inadequate ventilation, and so this will be a correction of what we've had before. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Presidents, board members. I wanted you to, there are so many things. They just chose a handful of items. All of them have many more than what you saw tonight, but I want you to have some idea of how they're going to spend the money if you approve this budget. Then I'm going to call for the other CELT members to come up, and they're going to have a brief presentation because all of them, every one of them, works in an area, and they will tell you we are here to support the students, and so everything they do is in support of what goes on all those campuses. And they're going to come in the order that you see up there. And they don't have slides. They're going to be really brief, and I'm going to, in case somebody needs a little bit more space. Okay. In case you need a little more.
Thank you, Chancellor, and to President Greenhill and the trustee board. We're all talking about what this budget means to us, and I've commented before that sometimes when you're not in the classroom, the appreciation factor seems not to be as great, but certainly know that what we do, as the Chancellor said, is in support of our students. There are about 3 or 4 areas that I'm going to be impacted by successful passing of this budget, and we're looking forward to it. One is the Web's Communication Department that we recently started. What this budget will do will allow us to continue to expand that department by bringing on a web designer as well as the director of the department. We're looking forward to next week. We're going to launch a couple of programs at the Chancellor's Breakfast. One is our mobile app, and we're really excited about that. I actually have it on my phone. Tried it today and had a great time with it. We're also excited about the intranet. I made the mistake today at a meeting with the Chancellor and said, Chancellor, we have a dummy site up for the intranet. And she said, how did it work, dummy? And I thought maybe I should use another choice of words when referencing that. Process improvement is something that you've heard about consistently since the Chancellor took the helm. We've now had the presidents to identify a process improvement person for each of the campuses. They're going to go through the training with Michael Eek, who is our director, as well as this concept of change management. The two are kind of interwoven. We see them as two very different things, so we're going to focus on the process improvement as well as the change management concept, which you'll hear more about from the Chancellor in the coming weeks. Our Office of Grants Development and Compliance, this budget is going to enable them to buy the software to better track the grants. And you've heard all about metrics and validation of the work that we do. This will allow us to do it in the Grants Development Department, while at the same time greater compliance over the grants that we do manage or oversee. We also will continue our work with Hanover Research, which is someone that David introduced us to, and if I could best explain them, I would say they do a great deal of due diligence for us on behalf of the institution to guide us in the way that we might want to go in pursuit of some of those grants. The Information Center, this budget is going to allow me to bring on about 2 to 3 additional part-time folks. So when we get that peak calling season, like registration, we can address that in a very different way. And finally, the PR marketing, we relocated to the Trinity River campus. That's allowed us to have an in-house photo studio. I think most of you all know that we outsource a great deal of that. We think this way we will realize some cost savings. So that's just 4 or 5 things that will impact my area, and look forward to your affirmative vote on the budget. Thanks.
Chancellor, Mr. Greenhill, members of the board, one of our initial efforts as part of achieving the dream was to identify potential barriers to student success and to determine ways to remove those barriers. We are requesting in this year's budget funding for a graduation and outreach specialist as part of our efforts to remove barriers and also to increase the number of completers at Tarrant County College. In the past, TCC required students to apply for graduation. Now, as you can imagine, there were a lot of students who didn't comply with that requirement. The result was that students, a lot of degrees and certificates were not awarded. Those students and completers could have really positively impacted our graduation and completion rate in the past. Completion of credential, as you all know, is a potential milestone through the Texas Higher Ed Coordinating Board, but it's also one of our key indicators of success through achieving the dream as well. Another potential barrier is the recent change in financial aid legislation relating to Pell Grants. Students as of July 1st are now limited to 6 years of full-time eligibility. So what this means for us is that our students will now need to purposefully move through their studies at TCC. And we as faculty, staff, and administrators are going to need to assist them in achieving their educational goals in a timely manner. Our request for a graduation outreach specialist is a first step in that process. As of fall 2012, TCC will no longer require students to apply for graduation. This graduation outreach specialist, with assistance from the records staff and the Office of Institutional Research, will be charged with auditing the student records of current students to identify students who have already satisfied the requirements for degrees and/or certificates. Once these students are identified, the appropriate credentials will be awarded and the students will be notified. The graduation outreach specialist will also identify those students who are close to completing a degree or a certificate. And the names of these students will be sent to the campuses, so those students can be, the staff can follow up with those students and provide intentional advising. The progress of these students will be tracked to ensure that they complete their educational goals, again, in a timely manner. So ultimately, this position that we're requesting will help us to more accurately report on the number of students who actually complete credentials at TCC and help us to more effectively assist the students in reaching their goals in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Always got a project, always got a constituent to serve. The wonderful thing about sitting back and listening to my peers is I cannot blink. I have to maintain an open eye and open ear because everything they've said, I've got a piece. So, but left to my own devices, I will come up with a couple of projects that support the overall success of the institution. Primarily, the three largest ones are the upcoming year. We've seen an aging of our technology in the classroom. This is not computers, but it's the projectors. Sometimes they're cameras, sometimes it's sound systems. And looking at through the requests from each of the individual campus presidents, there was a number of classroom requests for upgrades. So we're going to roll that all into one big project and attack anywhere from 10 to 20 classrooms per campus and do a significant upgrade with technology in those rooms for the upcoming year. Another topic of discussion is wireless access. We do have it everywhere. It's just not very deep. We're going to basically add a factor of 4 to the amount of devices that we can cover with our wireless coverage and double the amount of internet access bandwidth. So we're going to be opening up to more and more devices access to the campus resources. And then the final one is, you've probably heard me talk about it before, we have an old phone switch. And to do some of the things we want to do with intentional advising, outbound type calls, and increasing the robustness of the call center, we need to have a an up-to-date telephone switch, and the process started about 2 years ago, and I'm accelerating the end of that project. Hopefully by this time next year we'll be done. Thank you.
Good evening again. We're looking at servicing in two areas. The first areas we're looking at is trying to streamline our procurement process. We on the average produce 1,200 purchase orders a month, and we think that's too much. Two ways that we're going to look at. We're going to look at more commodity buying. We're going to look at better processes, and we're going to also look at how can we buy cheaper and smarter. And that's something that I can tell you that we are looking very hard, and we think we have a great staff that's going to help us for that. The other thing we're looking at is entrepreneurial activities. We have some of the most beautiful campuses that I've ever seen in my life, but now we're going to try to take these campuses and see if we can lease some of the times when we're not using, produce some income so we can take it back and let all our educational necessities be filled. We're working feverishly at that. I hope that you'll be able to see that, and we will also spread throughout the community that this is the next best thing for you to be able to use. Thank you.
Well, you've probably heard from me enough tonight about needs from the district. And of course, we in the facilities area support the needs of the presidents, but we do have some district needs. And I had talked about earlier, you know, if we had $1, it would be to spend on sustainability, energy, and efficiencies. And we have a lot of those kind of efforts that we're hopeful that if the budget you adopt will focus on those areas. And they're installations of monitoring systems that really allow us to look at inefficiencies before they happen and monitor them. Again, we're going to come back to you and go into a lot more detail. We have a really interesting software package that we're using that I have trouble pronouncing. It's evapotranspiration, which I like to call the lawn whisperer because it's easier to say, that really helps us understand how to monitor different plants and appropriately water them differently so we're more efficient with our water. So there's all kinds of interesting things that are happening from a technology standpoint that really have paybacks to it. And just, this is a little tidbit that you might not know, but 70% of all of our electrical energy supplied to TCCD is wind generated. And so, which is interesting and surprising, and we get renewable energy credits. And so understanding all of these and how we're putting some of these systems in place to allow us to do this really, I think, is helpful. So educating you more as we go forward on how that works. But I want to take a minute to also talk about a financial software package that you've supported in the past and hoping that we'll continue to support in the future, this Yardi software package. It's really around our operational area, so not our CIP projects, but how we run our operations. And it's been a powerful tool that we mentioned in the last week's board meeting, that by having this tool, we were able to more effectively manage that operational budget and give back over $2 million in it. And I'm hoping that this year, as we learn more about that software product and support it, we'll be able to continue to give back. And let me tell you a little bit how it works, is that opposed to budgeting in a lump sum, this software package allows our facilities managers to actually do monthly budgets and have mini budgets to be able to manage and have smaller goals. And what that allows you to do is more efficiently look at your spend and then to project your spend so that when you're budgeting, you're not having to put so much in there. It also is going to help us when we add full-time student loads to the Yardi software. We'll have a cost associated with it that's different than a cost per square foot for the building, and it will be more as a cost per student, which we're real excited to be able to do that. We'll also be able to define it even down to the classroom or lab or the specific room as it relates to the cost of the operation, so that we'll tie that to a computerized system that we have doing our regular eye services that you don't hear much about. But you know, every time a light bulb's changed here, that goes into an eye service report that we service. We have 15,000 of those we process a year. So this Yardi software ties to that, and it will help us more efficiently be able to predict how much staff we need. So efficiencies all over. So I'm excited about this product and wanted to share it and hope that you'll continue to support this through the budget. And I'll just say, Mr. Carter, I have nothing nefarious in the facilities area. I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
In November of 2011, this board passed a policy requiring 24 hours of professional development for faculty and 8 hours for adjuncts. And this coming up year, school year, will be the first full year. Dr. Mushala has done a really good job of starting the Faculty Academy, but she can't run it on her own, not with those high requirements. So we're asking to add 2 more instructional design specialists. Also, Ms. Petty and her team have done a really good job of constructing our emergency control center, but we need to equip it and we need to have drills, and that does cost some money. So those are the 2 main things in my budget.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you this evening about the things that are important to me in the budget, and sometimes you have to think on the other side of the podium, which is what our Chancellor did when she recommended to you that we think about a 6th president for the college. You have to think outside the box because times are changing, and the way we approaching our students, both in online, through distance learning, and through a variety of alternative learning activities, are going to be critical to the success, the ongoing success of the institution, and important to the making of a great team of presidents even better. And so I'm really looking forward to President number 6 coming in to work on TCC Connect. The other thing that's really important you worked on earlier this evening, that was item 27 on your agenda, and that's the online tutoring system. We really believe that this is going to add significantly to the student success and help us reach our goals with regard to completion as well. The final thing I wanted to talk with you about is something that we've been working on since last September, and that's the standardization of staffing throughout the district in the academic and student support areas. We did a lot of that work earlier this year when we had retirements and vacancies in some of the positions. We did some more with positions that we're asking you to approve in the budget this year. And what basically happens is that a number of people from the campus presidents to members of the staff in the student services area, folks from my office, the Human Resources Office, all got together and worked to establish a baseline staffing pattern for each of these offices throughout the district. And then we set about trying to make sure that we could either move people from one office area, one position area, or another into those as people retired or resigned from the college, or we had vacancies that would occur for a variety of reasons. Those were recaptured and repurposed to help with the standard staffing. And finally, in the budget this year, we're moving into the second stage of that. It'll take probably another year or two to get everything finished the way that it needs to be done. But the folks working on this also established a metric that will tell us at what point and on what basis do we need to add a staff member to an office to better serve the students, to better serve the community. So that one's important for us in the budget that comes up. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Now, who has a better leadership team than Tarrant County College District? I don't know who does. So I'm going to claim it. I'm going to say that we have the absolute best. This team works so very, very well together. I guess the thing I like most about it is that we're all for one and one for all. And that's not just a cliche. We actually mean that. So this is our expenditure page, where you will see where all of this money is going to go. The largest item on there so far is the $10,032,000 for salary increases, including that's all full-time faculty, staff, adjunct faculty, department chair increases. I told you last time we made a major change to department chair pay, including moving all department chairs to a 10.5-month contract. We worked very closely with the JCC in coming up with the structure for that, and we think it's something that is going to be a big improvement in the way we do business, and we think it'll be quite appreciated on the part of the faculty members who are serving as department chair. I don't think there is anything else in particular on that page I will call your attention to. You see all of the red down there, the things that were reduced in the budget. Nina talked about the $2.3 million that they gave back, which was really good. The $1.6 million that comes back to us with decreased costs of utilities. And of course the $2.1 million that we do not need to budget this year for the health supplement. This next page is a summary of those salary and benefits at $10 million that I talked about a minute ago. $5.1 million of that goes for the 3% salary increase and the concomitant fringe benefits that go with that. Non-faculty personnel, those positions that David Wells talked about primarily, that are both on the academic side and the student services side. More people for financial aid counseling, more people in math labs, computer labs, writing labs. Most of those, that's what most of those positions are. Have $620,000 there for new faculty requests. I told you last time that our decision was to do only 3 new faculty members at this point. We left the money there because we may need it later. We may need it for the president of TCC Connect. We're not really sure, so that money stays there in the budget. But the 3 new faculty positions that we're getting, 2 will go to the Northwest campus for the pilot training faculty and for the logistics. The third position goes to Trinity River East campus for physical therapy. That class, the demand for that has grown, so we need another faculty member for that. So that makes up to $10,032,541 on the salary and benefits summary. The new staff I went over with you before. 3 faculty members, 1 president, director and assistant directors. We have 4 of those. Coordinators and project specialists, 12 of those. 4 nurses with the additional hours that we have on all of our campuses. You must have certified people on board to help with emergencies, and so that's what that would do. I believe also one of those would be the result of the equity thing on the various campuses. One campus did not have the same level of coverage as the other campuses have. That's been one of the wonderful things about the metrics that have been developed. We can look at every campus and tell how it's staffed and whether or not it's staffed properly. The support staff positions are, of course, always the largest number here that we need. We need 2 new general maintenance supervisors with all of the construction and maintenance work that we have to do. And, of course, we have 1 police investigator as well. The recommendations are, therefore, for a 3% salary and benefits package that we just talked about. The next recommendation is for us to add an additional $5 million from this current year's revenue to our new building construction budget. You know, we have $19 million in that budget now, so we're adding $5 million to that. So we'll start the year 2012-13 with $24 million in that budget. The next recommendation is for the tax rate to remain the same as it was last year. Even though we have a little less need for debt service, the recommendation is to keep the tax rate at 0.14897 total. This recommendation was not a part of my budget recommendations last time, and isn't a part of my recommendations for this time as well, but it is a recommendation that the board members feel pretty strongly that we need to do, an increase in tuition. And by the way, I told you last time, most of the community colleges around the state are also increasing their tuition. So the recommendation that comes as a result of my work with the governance committee comes to $3 per semester hour for in-district students, and that's an increase of 6%. It would remain at $55 per semester hour for the next 3 years. The out-of-district tuition is being recommended at a 13% increase, and it would remain at $86 per semester hour for the next 3 years. And the non-resident tuition, that's anybody who comes here from out of state, would be $205 per semester hour, which would be a 20% increase. I would tell you that the in-district semester hours generated this past year were 2.7 million. Out-of-district hours generated were 700,000, and non-resident tuition generated was 28,000 semester hours. If you go to the next slide, you will see what kind of dollars we're talking about as a result of those increases. It would come to, for the spring semester, $2,085,000. For 2013-14, you'd have a full year because the tuition increase would be applicable only for the spring semester. So for 2013-14, you will see an increase of $4.2 million. For 2014-15, $4.3 million, and that assumes a very small increase of students. Again, our budgeting people are very conservative when they budget, so they just had a tiny bit of an increase there. But so overall, over the 2.5 years, that would amount to $10.6 million worth of revenue that we would get from that tuition increase. And this is my recommendation. If you decide that you indeed want to do the tuition increase, my recommendation is that all the funds generated from that, since I've already balanced the budget without it, I want to emphasize that, because we worked really, really, really hard on balancing this budget without a tax increase and without a tuition increase. We were determined to do that. And I said to the staff when we first began working on this, if the board decides to increase anything, my recommendation will be that it goes for sticky spaces. In other words, we find some better spaces for our students to hang out. So that would be my recommendation, that it would be used for that. And so now it's time for your questions, discussions, recommendations. Mr. Greenhill.
Madam Chancellor, first of all, again, I want to thank all of you, Madam Chancellor, the staff, and the KELP, for the very, very hard work that you all have done on this, and I appreciate the board as well. We've been through 4 or 5 meetings listening to this, discussing it with you, and it truly has been a team effort, and we really, really appreciate it. I agree with you that we have the best, and thank you again. I think there is an issue here. One of the issues might be tuition increases to consider. As I say, our process is going to be to try to reach a consensus. We're not going to decide. We're going to wait until we hear from students and we hear from the public at our next meeting. But I'd be interested in your ideas on tuition increase. Any other ideas that you have on this budget? I heard some other interesting ideas at the governance committee meeting about not just keeping the debt, keeping the interest. I'm sorry, the tax rate in regard to our debt reduction flat, keeping it the same. That might raise some funds. We might have. Did we have some figures on that, Mr. McClendon? If we kept the just for grins, this is another idea,
If we did not maintain the same rate, that by maintaining the same rate, we get a benefit of 420K, sir.
Okay. That's an interesting idea. I just throw it out there because I heard it from one of our trustees along the way. Any other ideas? I'm opening it up for discussion.
Obviously, I was an advocate for the tuition increase. I think I was originally proposing $2 a semester, but I find this to be just fine, and willing to make a commitment to leave it flat for 2.5 years. I like the flat. I think we basically committed ourselves to maintaining the present tax rate, and this does that, and it puts a little extra revenue there as well. So I like the general budget. I like the pay increase. I think it's fair. We probably won't be repeated next year, but it looks to me like this is a good, solid job. I also like the way that we've clearly outlined what new positions that we're going to have.
I did that one especially for you, Mr. Carter.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm quite pleased with it, and I think it's been quite a transparent process. And I look forward to, I'm going to vote for it as it is there with the tuition increase next week, barring a taxpayer or student revolution.
Any other comments? Go ahead. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
We have public comments next week, is that correct? I'm going to defer my decision until I hear what the public and the students are saying.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to listen.
I have concerns about increasing the tuition. Is there any other options besides what we've got here? And is there any way that we can go about and leave the tuition as it is and maybe generate money from other areas?
Well, that's what we've been that's what they've been working on
yeah.
for, God, we've been working on it for months now, yeah.
You're asking the question, are there other options for us to raise money? Mark McClendon talked a few minutes ago about how we can raise money. One of the things that he didn't tell you about that is about to happen next month, toward the end of next month, we're sending a delegation to China for 2 reasons. Number one, we're going to do a return visit to 4 of our 5 friends. The 5th one, we understand, is a little bit too far out in the yonder for us to visit while we're over there, but in the desert, according to Nancy, we take her geography to heart. But Mark McClendon, Cheryl Harris, because Cheryl oversees all of our international work, John Heiser from our respiratory therapy program at Trinity River East Campus, who has developed a relationship over the last few years since he was on Northeast Campus. He has developed a relationship there along with Larry Darledge, and there's one other person, Gary Goodwin, our continuing ed. That team is going to go for the express purpose of looking for business in various places. Number one, we're going to be talking with them about distance education, what we can do for them there. We'll be talking about how we might teach various things for them, even in person with some faculty there. We're going to be talking with them about sending students over to us, which would also increase our revenue there. So we're going to be looking a lot at international opportunities at TCC. We're very excited about the trip. It's very inexpensive. You heard me talk about 5 people who are going to go. So the airfare, the hotels, everything, all of that is $22,000. And that's because we're working in conjunction with the American Association of Community Colleges that does pretty much all of the groundwork. You get very good fares. As you can tell, those are excellent airfares and hotel fares that we're getting. And a part of the cost for this trip is also being picked up by the Chinese delegation that are very interested in having us come there. there are a number of opportunities overseas. I have been invited to go also, I'm not sure what the date is, in September to Dubai with the DFW International Airport and the North Texas Commission. And as you know, when DFW goes somewhere, they're looking for business, both agreements for flying in and out of countries, but they're also looking to bring business back to the United States. And wherever they go, when they're interested in bringing businesses in, they're also interested in showing them what kind of educational opportunities they have for training of the staff and all of that. I haven't looked into that yet, don't know what it's going to be, but it's something that we will certainly take a look at. So that's one thing that we can do, that we will be doing. We're going to be getting a little bit of extra money from the initiative that Mark has on the table for franchising our food service operation on 4 of our 5 campuses. That'll bring in some additional money. It's not a lot of money, depending upon how much the students take to that over what they were doing before, but it'll also save us some dollars from purchasing and keeping equipment up and running. There are other kinds of things. Mark talked about how we might lease out some of our campus facilities. We do a lot of community outreach work now. Our, our goal in the past hasn't been so much to make money as it has been to make sure the community understands that the campuses are there and that we want them to use those campuses. And we'll continue to do that with organizations that don't have budgets and, the grassroots kind of organizations that can't pay. So we have a number of things that we can do. On the other hand, and I'm not pushing for this is the board's direction to me, and I certainly am supportive of it. A tuition increase of $3 per semester hour does affect our students in some ways. It's not that impactful when you think that the average number of hours a student takes is about 6, right? About 6 semester hours. So if you got $3 per semester hour, that's $6 more that they will be paying for 1 hour. So if they're taking 6 hours, that'd be $18 that they would pay, $18 more for the course. At the same time, you really should hear some of the discussions of our students. It was interesting to hear the story from South Campus student. Yeah, we like all of this. Now, what are you going to do about? Because there are so many other things we need to do something about. And our students come to us looking for, and technology. Tim mentioned a minute ago, you probably caught that we have internet service and Wi-Fi all over everywhere, but it's not very deep. So if you've been somewhere lately, like to a conference, a convention, and you're at a hotel, and you've got 1,500 or 2,000 people in a hotel, and pretty much everybody now has at least 2 devices. They have a cell phone, they have an iPad. Some will have cell phone, iPad, and computer. And the hotel, some of the hotels haven't kept up. They're working hard to catch up. But you have to be really deep now. So you're talking about 50,000 students that you're serving. So there are a lot of other needs that our students have that when you put that $3 or that $18 together, you see what it comes out to be over 3 years, about $10 million. They'll do a lot for helping to provide the kind of services that our students need. The other thing that I think we have to think about when you think about increasing tuition is that the state appropriation is not going to be going up in the future. If anything, it's going to be going down, and we do have to prepare for that.
Any other observations on the budget at this time? I guess not. Thank you very much, Madam Chancellor. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you very much. And we look forward to our August 22nd meeting, 6 o'clock, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
To finally consider approving the budget.
I gather, Mr. President, at that time we'll look at 3 different things. One, the
absolutely.
Employee raises is a separate item, and the tuition is a separate item, and then the overall budget.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And in the meantime,
and setting the tax rate is a separate item.
And a tax rate. So we have basically 4 3 plus the budget itself.
And there will be, in case we do, we'll have motions, and the legal department will have will have all the motions that we've always had. And you may or may not have to read them.
I think you also have to do the exemption during that time.
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you? Yeah. Any exemptions that you
Oh,
want
yeah,
to
we're
give
going,
for
all the
disabled
formal
people or
resolutions
seniors.
she'll have, and
Right.
and I'll consider whether or not I'll ask you to read them or not.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Bring somebody nefarious to do that.
Or we may have the, well, okay. We now have the financial summary update. I'm sorry, Ms. Hadley.
Mr. McClendon will give you a brief update. Things are going well, I can tell you that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chancellor. If we look at the financial, we should be looking at 90%. I can tell you that both our revenue and expense looks pretty good. So unless you have any question, I would like to move to the investments. Any questions? All right. Let's go to the investments. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the investment page. What's the other page? It's a different document. There you go. All right. When we look at our investments, come down a little bit. Down. I mean, up. Okay, up. Okay. We do it different in South America. Okay. All right, so if we look at it on our pool, we've actually increased about $4 million, so that takes us to about $111 million. If we look at our investments, we went ahead and they called, this is the temper of the times, they offer you a nice high investment rate, and then they call it, and so that's why we retired the $10 million, and that's the $10 million that went up there. So if we look at our T-bill rate, down a little bit, T-bill rate is sitting right now against, it's 59 against 0.09, and on our 26 weeks, it's 59 against 14, so I think we're doing quite well. So it's 50 to 45. Any question on the investments? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
And now we have the Chancellor's report.
I shall be brief, Mr. Greenhill and board members. You have at your places, I hope, a list of news releases and newspaper items, and just wanted to call a couple of three of those to your attention. The South Campus Summer Splash program has been on our website for a number of days. It's a great thing that Dr. Jordan managed to do for the community, and it's $3 recreational swim for youth for $3 and $5 for adults, and I don't know, how has it gone?
First, let me say, Chancellor, that the credit goes to Trustee Morrison for bringing it to my attention when she asked, what can we do for members of the community to give them some relief from the summer heat? And so it was in response to a question that came from Trustee Morrison that we started the program. We couldn't start it much earlier because we had construction going on our women's locker room, which just completed last Thursday, a week ago. We opened up with about 15 students taking advantage of swim instruction, and we had about another 30 students who took advantage of free swim time. So for us, it was a good opening, and we'll see what comes tomorrow, the second day. And we'll continue through Friday the 24th.
Very good.
But we're
Thank you.
already at work on next summer as well.
Dr. Morrison, you want to say something about that?
I just wanted to say thanks to the South Campus president for his willingness to consider this, because the pools in that side of town were closed this summer, and this is a great opportunity for us to be a good community partner. We all need to encourage better swimming proficiency among all of our citizens, but I really appreciate his willingness to just jump right on it and to get it done. Thank you so much, and I know those students who are taking advantage will appreciate it, and we will look forward to a great program next summer. Thanks.
At your leisure, you may read through all of those news releases and news reports. I just want to acknowledge our Northwest Campus Criminal Justice Training graduation, the sesquicentennial 150th graduating class. That is to be applauded, I think. Absolutely. I'm awake at night sometimes thinking about all the wonderful, wonderful things we do in this community. And that is absolutely a great public service, as is that swim class, because all of us know that a lot of children die from drowning because they can't swim. They never had the opportunity to learn to swim, so that's good. The other thing that I'll mention is a newspaper article from the Gainesville Daily Register. For whatever reason, our newspaper didn't pick up the fact that we accepted that $744,845 check at the Alliance Opportunity Center, Mrs. Winnett. That was one of we're going to do the training for General Electric. They're going to hire 1,000 people, for jobs here in the area, and Tarrant County College is doing the vast majority of the training for them. And this grant was from the Texas Workforce Commission to help us train people, many of whom do not have jobs right now, and that's a really good thing. But I want to mention that perhaps the third one, the first one was like 400 and, where's David? 35, Troy, 435,000. Next one like 450,000, and then 744,000. So we have done really, really well. So thanks to Mr. Vaughn and his staff for all of this wonderful work. Jennifer Hawkins is the leader of that group, and we're really appreciative of that. The other thing, before I go any farther with the rest of this, I'm going to call on Nina Petty to introduce her new staff member. Nina?
Thank you, Chancellor. I'm excited to introduce our new Director of Facilities. You may remember Gary Prather, who's been our Director of Facilities, a few months ago took a role overseeing our construction services group, a new group that's really going to be managing more of our smaller projects, the ones that you heard all the presidents speak about tonight. We're going to be doing that internally. And I'm so excited about introducing Chad Crocker, who's standing here to my left. I like to call Chad a boomerang because Chad was one of us once upon a time. He actually started his career at the Northeast campus as a plant operator and then moved to the Northwest campus and became a chief plant operator there. And this is a great story. Decided that he wanted to go better himself and get more education. And he went off and left us for a little bit and went on to a leadership position at not only Burlington Northern as their management trainee, but has had stints at the Women's University, Texas Wesleyan University, Eastern Michigan University, got smart and came back to Texas at Lone Star College. And he has education. He's got an associate of arts in criminal justice. So he started in the community college system. He has an associate of applied science and mechanical electrical technology. He's got a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration, and then he went on to get his master's in business administration. So for the last 3 years, he's actually been at Lone Star College and was executive director of facilities operation. I feel very honored that we were able to attract Chad to our operation, and I think I have a little bit of help with Dr. Bill because they work together at Lone Star. And so he's joining us again, and his experience, and I think education and innovation is really an inspiration. A lot of our facilities people worked with him, and I think it's an inspiration to see somebody that was a plant operator go up and come back as a leader. So I'd like to turn it over to Chad and say a few words for us.
Madam Chancellor, Mr. Greenhill, board members, I will tell you that I have never been so tickled pink to come back to an organization. I feel like I cut my teeth here. I learned a lot of things. I took my experiences here everywhere else and tried to turn them into TCJC and then TCC, and it is great to come back and see that some things don't change. This place is still an outstanding organization that only gets better over time. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Chad, and welcome. Dr. Coppola has a person to introduce.
Ms. Hadley, board members, I know you will join me in welcoming to the family Ann Meacham. Ann Meacham came to us from Paul Quinn College, where she was the Director of Institutional Research and Effectiveness and also the SACS Liaison. She is our new Dean of Business and Technology at the Southeast Campus. She holds an MBA from Ohio State University, and being a Spartan, we didn't hold it against her. She has taught college business and marketing classes, and prior to teaching, Ms. Machen was a marketing specialist with Diebold Corporation and the Louisiana Office of Tourism. Please welcome Ann.
Good evening, Chancellor Hadley and the board members. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to serve in the position of Dean of Business and Technology. I started the position about a month ago, and I knew immediately that I was in a good place due to the support that I received from my colleagues at the Southeast Campus. The deans were very helpful in bringing me on board and answering my 2,000 questions. The administrative assistants and the committee members, various committee members, helped me with how the college operates and how my office fits in those operations. And of course, Dr. Coppola and Dr. Cohn was very clear about the expectations and the resources available to implement those expectations. So it's really encouraging to work with knowledgeable and accessible and friendly people. I really appreciate it, and it makes my job a lot easier. Next week, I'll be meeting many of the full-time faculty for the first time in our first division meeting, so I look forward to kicking off the semester with the faculty, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve you, and thank you.
Thank you. Well, welcome to both Dr. Machen and Mr. Crocker. We're very pleased to have you join us at Tarrant County College. Now, back to my report, the first thing I want to do is to ask you to make sure you get your invitation, your passport, yes, to student success, and read through it. Look at all the wonderful opportunities you're going to have at the Chancellor's Breakfast next week. We're looking forward to having each one of you there, and I hope you will be able to stay the entire time. You know, the college is closed that day, all day, because after the breakfast, our faculty and staff will have an opportunity to engage in a lot of professional development. So we're really excited about that. I just want to highlight a few things in my report, the first of which I'm going to let Mrs. Appleman tell you about, the June 26, 27 Future Leaders, Future Presidents Institute in Baltimore, Maryland. Ms. Appleman?
Yes. If you look at Ms. Hadley's schedule, you wonder how she was two places at once. She did a little jet set between Florida and Baltimore, Maryland, and I had a quick 24-hour turnaround trip. It was an interesting conference where faculty of various levels from around the country applied to attend and learn about leadership development, becoming presidents and future leaders at their various institutions. And we were scheduled to speak at 1 in the afternoon, so I thought, well, I'll go to their morning sessions and kind of catch on to where they are and what they're interested in, what they want to talk about, and then I'll know what I should talk about. Well, I wasn't allowed. It was like an inner circle thing, and they said, no, you can't come. So I went back to my room and worked on my notes, only to have you-know-who give most of my presentation before I could even get to the podium. But what we did demonstrate to them, I think, was a really good board-staff relation, and I think we encouraged those who were there that you can be friends with and partners and collaborators between the professional staff and the volunteer, and I was pleased to represent us at that time.
Thank you, Ms. Appleman. I want you to know she represented very well. It was really funny because I invited her. I was presenting at both sessions. So the first session was for the the future leaders, I guess. And this was sponsored by the American Association of Community Colleges, and they have this rule about what goes on in Vegas stays in Vegas. They don't, everybody, signs this oath that we won't talk about anything that goes on that's talked about in this meeting, and they just thought, well, if she's a trustee, perhaps she shouldn't be in on this meeting. And I wasn't going to say anything that I didn't want her to hear. But anyway, it was very good. The other thing I want to call your attention to is a meeting that I had with Mayor Betsy Price and Mr. Walter Dansby, Superintendent of Fort Worth ISD, for the three of us to talk about how we could partner on the Fort Worth side to make sure that the city of Fort Worth is doing all it can to be helpful in the educational process. So that went really well. And then, of course, you all know about the Memorandum of Understanding. Actually, there were two Memoranda of Understanding we signed with Jim Spagnola, president of University of Texas at Arlington, Tarrant County College, for students in the Mansfield and Arlington ISDs. That's what one was for, and the other one was for all students. But it's a great opportunity for us to push dual credit students to stay in dual credit throughout their last 2 years in high school, get those hours, come to TCCC, get those hours, and then go on to UTA and perhaps graduate a year and a half or so after they're there with a scholarship. So it's a really wonderful thing for us. So we'll be continuing to push for opportunities like those for our students. The other thing that I want to tell you is that last night, it wasn't last night, when was it? Night before last, we had a graduation on our Trinity River campus for students all over the district, the first group of the Chancellor's Emerging Leaders, and it was absolutely inspiring. 5 campus presidents were there, as well as David Wells were there with us to greet the students. You would have thought that they had just done the most important thing in their lives. They were so very, very pleased that they had been selected to go through that program, and they had stayed with it, had learned a lot, and they were very, very pleased. One of the things that I like about the program, not just that they got a lot of information and support, and the campus student services people were absolutely supportive of those students. They were all there for them throughout. They helped us identify the students, and they came to the sessions with them. They were there night before last, to celebrate with those students. But in addition to all the things they learned, they also had to volunteer and do something for somebody else. Because I believe so deeply that people who give something back are better off all the way around. So they volunteered at Habitat for Humanity, I believe the Carter Blood Center, and maybe one other place. It's a very good program. These students are students who fail all 3 parts of the Accuplacer test, so they need a lot of help. We were very pleased with the results of that. One of the things I want to call your attention to, and that is our president was elected to a position. That was one of the things in your packet of information. I'm not finding it right now, with the Community College Trustees Association. That's you I'm talking about, Mr. Greenhill. Okay.
I was.
Elected to the Community College Trustees Association of Texas. And we are very pleased that he was elected to that, and look forward to having him take a leadership role in that organization. That's all I have, Mr. Greenhill.
Thank you. I'm looking at your schedule. I'm not sure. Good grief. Anyway, we're now to number 32, which is President's Report. I do not have a report. However, I am excited about the opportunity to go to I'm going to go to the Trinity campus. Rita Parsons sent out a email about opportunities to help students in their registration process.
Oh, good.
And I'm going to go. There's a rumor that the president is going to have an interview. Is going to interview El Toro, who of course is mute. But we're going to see how this goes. We're going to make arrangements for Bill Greenhill, and I think it's going to be a photo session Bill Greenhill interviewing El Toro. We're going to see what happens. See if he goes like this or goes like this, or I don't know. But I'm excited about the opportunity to go help. Trinity's close. I might go to other campuses for a surprise, but I'm excited about that. I think that's a great opportunity for all of us to go help in the registration process. Thank you for sending this. I think Louise, Ms. Appleman's already given us a report on the AACC Future Presidents Institute. Now, Conrad Heed, Mr. Trustee Heed, would you like to talk about your adventure in Washington, D.C., other than the wine tours and things like that? Yeah, okay.
Yes, I would. First of all, I would like to thank the college and the Chancellor for the opportunity that's afforded to not only the new trustees, but all trustees to attend all these conferences and institutes. Because if there's one thing I've learned in all my education is to recognize when you don't know what you need to know to do this job. You may have 3 or 4 degrees in whatever it happens to be, but I'm not aware of a degree in trusteeship for board members. So it's very important, I think, for all of us to, not only the new members, but all our members, to attend these different conferences. And I attended the Governance Leadership Institute in Washington, D.C., August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It was two and a half days, and it was an opportunity to not only learn how to be a more effective board member, but also we discussed current issues and emerging issues for all community colleges. And also we got a number of new ideas, and some of those ideas may not have been new, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel, because we've, every community college has faced some of the same problems during their history. Just to give you, and I brought back materials for us to copy and to disseminate to all board members if they'd like to have them, relating to the things that they gave out during the Institute. But just some of the things that we talked about. Of course, we had an orientation for the newer trustees. I found out I'm not the newest, but some of them were like 1 month old. I mean, it was unbelievable. But it was an opportunity to get to know each other a little better. And then we talked about emerging issues in higher education, completion rates and fiduciary responsibilities, accreditation, student success, accountability, achieving the dream. I mean, these are terms that we all hear, but we went through all of those, discussing what other colleges have their approach to those are. Responsibilities of a public official, operating procedures, bylaws, roles of committees, and so forth. What new trustees need to know about accreditation, board CEO relationship, understanding the budget, financial documents, and capital projects. What trustees need to know about the media and how to deal with the media. What we need to know about advocacy. Robert's Rules of Order and Operational Procedures. And then we had a show and tell where each attendee was given the opportunity to talk about something their college did that was very special, and I talked about our boot camp, which was something that they hadn't tried. And some of the ideas that you get are kind of interesting. You had mentioned going to China, and some of the colleges actively recruit students from foreign countries, particularly China, because the tuition rate is so much higher, and apparently they're able to pay. One gentleman told me, and we talked about maybe the Alliance Airport project, that this one gentleman said he has been to China, and they are actively recruiting the Chinese to send over people to be trained in avionics. And his statement was that there are 600,000 jobs in China alone in avionics that somebody's going to have to train in the future. So that gives us some indication of what we need to do in the Alliance Airport area. We talked about tuition rates here, and they were talking about varying tuition rates depending on a particular subject. It was interesting. They mentioned board retreats as an effective way for the board to get together and discuss things kind of out of the public spotlight, even though it's a meeting, Angela. Most people don't show up. The public doesn't go to wherever we would have a retreat normally. And then another interesting thing, and Chancellor, you'll be very excited to hear about this, they talked about athletics in community colleges and how that provides a portal for some students, and it also educates the community on what the college is doing. And I just thought that maybe the Chancellor's beach volleyball team would, I don't know, but that was just a thought they threw out.
I'm passing one, I hope.
But anyway, I really appreciate the opportunity to attend these conferences and institutes, and look forward to the next one. I believe Boston is coming up.
Well, that concludes our meeting, this part of the meeting, and now we will go into item 33. Anything else, Madam Chancellor? Okay, we're going to go into closed meeting, a closed session for deliberation of real property, Section 551072, Texas Government Code. The real property discussion will address the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real estate. You're going to get a test on this pretty soon. Okay, now secondly, we're going to deliberate on personal matters, Section 5510. Personnel, I'm sorry.
Personal.
Personnel matters, Section 551074 Texas Government Code. The deliberation will include discussion on trustee self-evaluations and the employment contract, evaluation and/or duties of the Chancellor. Then thirdly, consultation with attorney, Section 551071 Texas Government Code, for purposes of a private consultation with the board's attorney on any subjects or matters authorized by law. The deliberation will include any pending or contemplated litigation. And there's no action contemplated, so goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you again for your hard work on the budget. Appreciate your attendance. We are not adjourned, but we are recessed.